Hello and welcome back to Tales from Bjorn. I am Bjorn, also known as Aaron. So today's topic is going to be about my first Saturday there. Um, uh, it might be a little triggering for some people, so we're gonna get into it, okay? So I'm Aaron. I was a student at Agape Boarding School from early 2009 to July of 2011. Here is a picture of me at Agape. Here's my diploma. I did graduate from there. Another picture of me with Brother Croy. And I don't know if he still works there, but he was one of the few good ones, I would say. So, Agape Boarding School. So, I can't remember the date that I actually arrived. It was in early 2009. I want to say it was April or May. Um, uh, so I arrived at Agape Boarding School in Stockton, Missouri. So I don't remember what day I got there. I don't even remember the date of this event happening. I just remember that it was my first Saturday at Agape. Um, but I will always remember this day. So I can remember each event that happened, the argument between staff member Wilkie and myself, the assault from staff member Lenz, and the verbal and mental abuse that happened to me right before the physical abuse, and me attempting to defend myself from somebody that was 4 times larger than me, and the gang style beatdown that ensued for over an hour. So the Saturday in early 2009 started out like any other Saturday at Agape. Waking up to the lights being turned on and Graves yelling, "Wake up, wake up." Marching down to the shower bay, getting ready for the day. Marching up to the dining facility or the dining hall. Reading your Bible for 30 minutes and then eating breakfast. So on Saturdays, breakfast was a lot better than any other day. There was actually substance to the breakfast. There was protein, the eggs, bacon, sausage, grits, um, all sorts of stuff for breakfast. Because this was Ma'am's, Catherine Clemenson's meal that she made for everybody. Um, this was a meal that everybody looked forward to. Also, I will note that all the meals that were actually good only happened on the weekends. If there was visitors, so like if somebody was coming in to speak, we'd have a really good dinner on the weekends because that's usually when visitation happened. Um, the food would be better on the weekends and even better so during a visitation. So after breakfast, um, like what happened on most Saturdays, unless it was a go to school for half a day kind of a Saturday. Work crews would be picked by different staff members. On this day, Wilkie picked my guide, Matt, for his work crew, and because I was on buddy status, I went with him. This work crew was to wash all the school vehicles and staff vehicles in this open carport they had on campus. This open car park on this carport in this picture here was right here, and it was just like a pole building where it was just metal poles holding up a roof. No door on either side. A lot has changed since 2009 when I got there to 2011 when I left, and even more so has changed over the years because this is the year 2023. So things like this driveway looks the same, the front of this building looks the same. It looks like there's a whole bunch of new stuff back here. It looks like they joined the 2 barns that were separate into one little mega barn or whatever. Looks like we have some new additions to buildings there. That building was there that housed the Clemenson's really nice. Was it a Mustang or a Corvette? I can't remember. They had a lot of really nice shit they paid for. Um, so so in this work detail, my job was to wash the wheels of the vehicles. So we had our first vehicle there, which was a white 15-passenger van with Agape's logo on the side, not logo, but name on the side. So started to wash this. I dipped my sponge into the bucket that was sitting right next to the front driver tire. It was in line with the front axle. It was less than a foot away from the vehicle. After dipping my sponge in and starting to wash the wheel, Wilkie started yelling at me for using the wrong bucket. So I started arguing with him because at this time he was both being an idiot and making a big deal out of nothing. We could have easily taken the buckets, changed them out, and actually designated which bucket was for what, which was something that didn't happen at the beginning of this work crew. He didn't say what, he just said we're washing the vehicle, and he just let us go at it. And I assumed that this bucket was for the wheels since it was right next to the wheel, and the other bucket was for the vehicle because it was centered on the vehicle, and yeah. So the bucket that he was claiming for the wheels was centered on the vehicle and a lot further back compared to the distance that the bucket that I thought was for the wheels was. You couldn't squat between the bucket and the vehicle to actually wash the wheels. That's how close it was. And the other bucket, the one he was claiming for the wheels, you could walk 2 or 3 people side by side between that bucket and the vehicle, and it was centered on the vehicle. So argued for a little bit, and then at that point he decided to take me to Browntown, and so he took me to Leo Linz, who was running Browntown at the time. Browntown was over here picking weeds. And yeah, so at this point I thought Wilkie was just somebody that had a very low intelligence, but I later learned there that the things he was doing, it wasn't because a student actually did something wrong. He was just trying to attempt to farm reactions out of students. And so once we got to Leo was just tried to escalate it even more. While Browntown was picking weeds, I was told to stand there at attention, so I did. And so Leo started laying into me with verbal and mental abuse, telling me that I was there because my parents didn't love me anymore, that I was a giant piece of shit, how I was there until I turned 18 and then I would go to jail for using drugs. Yeah. And so I was getting pissed off because, one, I had this idiot yelling at me, and so he started getting in my face, telling me to hit him, and then he pushed me, and so I hit him in the face, trying to defend myself from this person who was literally 4 times my size, probably over 350 pounds, twice my weight. He was at least 2 of me wide, and probably 4 of me deep. He was pretty fat. He still is, probably. So I hit him in the face. And then literally as soon as I hit him, I got tackled to the ground. I don't know if it was a staff member or a student. At first I was on the ground, on my back, and Leo was over top of me, holding my head, slamming it into the gravel road. And then while I was getting both taken down and on the ground, I was getting kicked by different people, punched by different people. Eventually they rolled me over onto my face, and so I was face down on this gravel road, still just picking up my head and slamming it while I'm laying on the ground, just like rotating it back and slamming it into the gravel, punching me in the back of my head, the side of my face. And then they grabbed my arms and my legs and spread them out in like a starfish position. And then were kicking, stepping on me, punching my arms, stepping on my feet and my hands. At this time, I was still fighting it, so every time I tried to pick up my head or I tried to pick up an arm, they would punch me in the back of the head. Also, I had no idea who was on top of me. I wasn't sure if it was all staff members. At first it was a mixture of staff members and students. But I was getting kicked, hit, elbowed all over my body. And then also during this time, my butt was grabbed in a very sexual way, and my dick and balls were grabbed too. They weren't ever kicked or stomped on or hit. They were just grabbed and squeezed in a very molestation-like way. So once they stopped beating me, different staff members were assigned to control different parts of my body. So I had a staff member on each arm, staff member on my legs, and then I had a staff member like on like my main body to hold me down. So during this phase of the restraint, staff members were punching and elbowing and rubbing both their elbows and their fists and thumbs and fingers into pressure points all over my body. Eventually, my body just went numb, which is a good thing because I stopped feeling the pain. Scott Dumar and Brent Jackson were two of the staff members that I remember being a part of this phase of the restraint. And we were there for a very long time. So eventually I was let up, or picked up, I should say, because I had lost all function of my arms and limbs, completely numb. I couldn't move anything. So I was picked up by Scott and Brent, and they held me there as I was slowly regaining the ability to walk. And I was told if I fell down, the beating, in their words, they used beating. They didn't use restraint. They used the words beating, would start all over again. And so for the reason I was being let up at this time is because Kathy, aka Ma'am Clemenson, was mad that everybody was late for lunch. And so basically I was saved by the dinner bell. So once I was able to walk, I was given a brown shirt, and my 2 weeks in Brown, my first 2 weeks stint of Browntown started. We were then marched past James and Kathy Clemenson on our way up to the dining hall. And I just remember this sick, evil smile that I can still see on James's face as he was looking at me. Just like the most sadistic smile that you can imagine was on this man's face. And then Kathy laughingly said, "I bet you won't do that again." Yeah. And so this happened over here on this road here, and we're marched up this way, and Ma'am and Kathy Clemenson were standing right here, and then we're marched up through here past the pool and into the dining hall. So had lunch. I can't remember what it was. It was like, I can't remember if it was peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I think it was. It was bread with like the smallest amount of peanut butter and jelly. It was bread. So after lunch, everybody was sent to free time. Browntown stayed there to scrub the floors of the dining hall. Andrew Lopez was overseeing Browntown during this time, so while we were waiting on the floor to dry so we could put tables back, We were doing workouts, exercises in the dining hall. Some of them we were on the wet floor, and then we had these rags or something so we didn't get the floor dirty as it dried, and you're slipping and sliding everywhere and falling over, and it was just it was a very dangerous activity to be doing workouts on a wet floor. And then we had dinner, chapel, and then we went to bed. And that was my first Saturday at Agape Boarding School. So, thanks for watching, guys. Like, dislike, subscribe, keep updated. I'm going to keep trying to post different videos. I'm going to try to post my stories of others if they want their stories shared. And then I'll just continue to go over the different abuse tactics as I can remember them. There's still a lot that I have a really hard time remembering, or because I've pushed it so far out of my mind. And 2.5 years of my life, I can't remember a lot of things. Or I remember them and I mix things. Some of it's just a blur from the amount of time in some of these doing some of the things there. It's just a blur. I couldn't tell you what day what happened. It was just a very traumatic experience. Thanks again.